How's it going, guys? It's ZPB Studios here, and welcome to ZPB Obscure Media, where I'll be taking a look at media that not a lot of people know about and very few people do. In this episode, I'll be taking a look at Buzz Lightyear Star Command, as well as its video game adaptation. Now, Buzz Lightyear Star Command is an animated series based on the Toy Story movies that focuses on, you guessed it, Buzz Lightyear, which takes place inside the fictional universe that Buzz Lightyear originated from via a framing device based on a VHS that Andy's Toys watch at the beginning of every episode. Now, Buzz Lightyear in this show is voiced by Patrick Warburton. That's right, the same Patrick Warburton who voiced Joe Swanson in Family Guy, as well as the voice of Kronk in The Emperor's New Groove. And I gotta say, he makes a pretty good Buzz Lightyear, even though he sounds not too different from the other characters he voices.
I have nothing to prove to you, but I can take you down with one hand tied behind my suit.
The other members of Star Command include this blue-skinned alien called Miranova, who looks a bit like Mystique from X-Men, who's voiced by Nick O'Sullivan, who later voiced Marlene in The Penguins of Madagascar, as well as Luna in Ratchet & Clank Size Matters. XR, a little robot, who's voiced by Larry Miller, as well as Booster Sinclair, a large red fat monster, voiced by Stephen Furst. And the animation of the series looks really clean for a 2000 series. It reminds me a lot of a DC animated series such as Superman the Animated Series and the new Batman Adventures. And in addition to Warburton and the other voice actors, there are also some guest voice actors such as Wayne Knight as Zurg, who you might remember as the voice of Al from Toy Story 2, replacing Andrew Stanton. And I think Mark Hamill voices a few guest characters in this series, I could be wrong. Anyway. Now, on top of this show being short-lived, debuting in 2000 and lasting for one season until 2001, what's even more strange is that this show is yet to appear on Disney+. I mean, you have all those Star Wars stuff, but not Buzz Lightyear Star Command. Come on, Disney. Shed some more light on this forgotten animated series, why don't you? Well, now that we talked about the TV show, let's look at the video game, developed by Traveller's Tales, who also developed other Toy Story games like the decent Toy Story 2 Buzz Lightyear to the Rescue, as well as Toy Story Racer and the first Toy Story game, and published by Activision. Now, considering that this game came out only 1 year after Buzz Lightyear to the Rescue, you'd assume that this game would simply be a rewrapped version of that game, but with some slight improvements, but surprisingly it's not. Whereas Buzz Lightyear to the Rescue was a 3D platformer with open levels and various objectives to complete, similar to Spyro, this game is much more linear, something akin to Crash Bandicoot, but it also has elements of that game, as well as the third-person Duke Nukem games by N-Space. Now, instead of completing various objectives, you've only got one objective in each level, and that's to pursue a bad guy from the show, such as Torque, the Wirewolf, Blackfin, and eventually Zurg himself, to the end of a level, where you have to then fight them. But this game does have some interesting concepts, such as the weapons. As you blast enemies and other stuff, you can collect these triangular coins, which you can use to purchase weapons such as a plasma launcher, in addition to something like a ray gun, which allows you to project arcs of lightning, as well as other weapons including a grenade and rocket launcher. But you gotta be careful because you can actually hurt yourself while using them. You can also use credits to use Buzz's wings for a brief amount of time, as well as use some vehicles such as a hover bike and a hoverboard, which is pretty cool. And you can also collect little green men scattered around each level, but you gotta be careful because you can actually kill the little green men if you're careless. And also, to progress through the game, you need to collect medals by not only completing the level, but after completing the level you can also play the level again via a time trial or a submission where you have to collect parts for XR. Now, in terms of moves, Buzz's moveset in this game is pretty lacking compared to Buzz Lightyear to the Rescue. He can no longer double jump or go into first person, but he can stray from side to side to avoid enemy fire. And fun fact, you can't strafe in the Ratchet & Clank games until Ratchet & Clank 2. So yeah, that puts Buzz Lightyear Star Command above the first Ratchet & Clank game, in that you can actually strafe, while in Ratchet & Clank 1 you can't strafe at all. So that's one thing Buzz Lightyear Star Command has going for it, being able to strafe when the first game in the Ratchet & Clank series can't allow you to do that. Now, I said that every level involves you chasing a bad guy to the end, but there are some unique levels in this game, such as the one in Ice World, where you jump on a snowboard and have to avoid falling into bottomless pits. And sometimes it can be hard to do it when you're in a hurry. And there's another mechanic in the game where after level 2, the boss will plant bombs which you have to destroy, which if you don't, it'll result in another mission failure. And the Wirewolf level is easily the most unique. Instead of chasing him, you have to defeat waves of Zerg's troops in order to open doors to fight him. Now, in a game that's really repetitive, this is a nice change of pace, and it's also quite a hard level, which normally I'm actually fine with, because not all games for younger gamers need to be easy, and this is a nice change of difficulty, even though it can get a bit tedious and a bit hard. Another thing about this game is that the life system from Buzz Lightyear to Rescue has been removed, and every time you fail a mission, you're sent back to the mission select screen and have to reload the level over again. Now, it's not that bad, as the levels don't take much longer to load, but it can be pretty tedious if you forget to detonate a bomb or die at the Wirewolf stage. But does that make the game bad? I mean, I've definitely played harder X-Men 2 Wolverine's Revenge, but if you're wanting to get through the game, you're going to have to persevere on this one level. But if you can get past that, I think this is a pretty easy game, with a few challenges here and there, which I think is good, because like I said earlier, not every single game for kids has to be really easy. Anyways, now let's discuss the game's visuals. For a 2000 game, this game looks okay. Buzz's model in this game is actually cel shaded, which is a graphic technique used in games such as the Sly games, Ultimate Spider-Man, as well as the 2007 Simpsons game, but for some weird reason, Buzz's model is the only game that's shell-shaded, and some characters in this game look really weird, like Warp Dark Matter and some of Zurg's troops. But other than that, I think this is an okay looking game, but it doesn't look as good as other PlayStation 1 games released in 2000, such as Medieval 2, WWF SmackDown 2, Spyro for a Year of a Dragon, or even the 2000 Spider-Man game. But if you're willing to get past the weird character models, I think this game looks decent for its time. Anyway, so that was Buzz Lightyear Star Command, and in conclusion, it's a really entertaining show with decent animation and good voice acting. Oh, as for the game, I think it's really fun despite its repetition, but here's a really strange thing. In December of 2023, this game was re-released on the PlayStation Store for the PS4 and PS5, but the show it's based on is not on Disney Plus as of this video. I mean, it's good that this game is getting the same level of attention as Buzz Lightyear to the Rescue and other Disney games on the PS1. But I think the show should be on Disney Plus because that show needs more attention just as much as the game. And come on Disney, if you're watching this, please put Buzz Lightyear Star Command on Disney Plus. I mean, you've got all that Star Wars and Marvel stuff, but not that one Buzz Lightyear show. Come on Disney, wake up, put your fingers out of your butts. Anyway, that's the end of this episode of ZPB Obscure Media. Make sure you hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. This is ZPB Studios signing off.